The question of how to beat Floyd Mayweather is not an easy one. There isn't a simple or obvious answer. A lot of very talented, high-level boxers, fighters, whatever, have tried. They've all come up short. Every time Floyd has entered the ring, he's got the job done. So, it's very hard to pick a fighter, to pick a style, to pick a technique that you can assert with any certainty is going to beat Floyd. However, from past experience and with the examples available to us, it is possible certainly to deduce styles and fighters who are less likely to beat Floyd and therefore kind of subtract those guys out of the equation. Floyd Mayweather claims to be the best ever. There's a discussion to be had there. He's certainly, in my eye, a very, very elite defensive fighter. He lacks the offensive capability of a Sugar Ray Robinson, to my eye, just based on tapes that I've watched. But the guy is certainly an elite defensive fighter. I don't think Floyd Mayweather will ever be beaten by a back foot guy, by a slickster, by a technician. I think Floyd is just far too good and has mastered that method of boxing. To give examples, I know these guys are possibly lower down the pecking order, but I mean their styles as opposed to themselves. But I wouldn't view a Devon Alexander, I wouldn't view an Adrian Broner, I wouldn't view these guys stylistically as capable of getting the job done at Floyd. Because when you're talking about low volume slicksters with defensive capabilities, Floyd is the king of the castle. For me, that back foot style, that sort of counter-punch style, is not going to beat Floyd. I also don't think the way to beat Floyd is to try and big man him. Marcus Maidana, Saul Canelo Alvarez, these guys came to the ring massively outweighing Mayweather. But for me, again, he's so defensively capable that he is able to outmaneuver, outposition, outwork, outscore these kind of guys. I don't think a tactic of brawling with Mayweather, wrestling with Mayweather, rushing Mayweather like we saw with Madonna is going to work. So I think realistically, you need someone in between. It can't be a back foot defensive guy like Adrian Broner. It can't be a come forward out and out aggression guy like Marcus Maidana. Let me say, I also don't believe Floyd Mayweather I don't see him getting knocked out. He's been in so many fights. His chin's held up. He doesn't get hurt in fights typically. When he does get hurt, he covers up well. He's got such defensive capability. I just don't see Floyd getting knocked out. It could happen as he gets older if he slips and becomes old overnight, but realistically, for me, you can't go into a Floyd fight relying on power. You've got to go into a fight planning to win on points. So, what I'm looking at, as I say, whilst it's hard to predict how to beat Floyd, what I can say is that guys who are back foot or guys who are one-dimensional in their assaults are unlikely to get the job done. In terms of potential areas of weakness for Floyd, there are two. One, as he's become older, he's become slightly lower volume. He relies on sort of quality, not quantity. He's got that sort of, not dissimilar to Adrian Broner in that he picks his shots. And as I say, Floyd has become slightly lower volume. So I think the first way of beating Floyd is by catching the judge's eye by continually throwing and landing more than Floyd. But it can't be like Marcus Maidana, who did throw a lot. It's got to be educated. It's got to be accurate. It's got to be well thought through. The second thing, I think Floyd has become slightly more stationary in more recent years. So I think a young, energetic guy who could outwork Floyd in terms of punch output, who can outmove Floyd in terms of footwork and foot speed, has the potential to expose weaknesses as Floyd nears 40 years old. Now, I'm not saying this is a definite formula to beat Floyd, because as I say, a lot of great fighters have tried and none have succeeded, so there's no certainties that there's any way to beat Floyd. All I'm saying is that I think a mover with high volume is more likely to expose potential weaknesses in an ageing Floyd than a back foot slickster or somebody who really decides they're going to go out and wrestle with him and brawl with him. For these reasons, I have a limited interest in seeing Floyd fight the likes of Austin Trout and Erislandy Lara. I think Floyd knows that style that they bring to the table, but I think he does it better. I have a limited interest in seeing Floyd fight guys like Danny Garcia, who to my eye are quite flat-footed, quite reliant on power. I have a limited interest in seeing Floyd fight rematches with the likes of Miguel Cotto, Saul Alvarez. I think he's been there, he's done that, and I want to see him face something different, a new challenge. And to me, that's where Amir Khan represents a good threat and an interesting tactical matchup. Amir Khan's got the youth, he's got the volume, he's also got the movement, he's got the footwork, he's got the hand speed, he's got the flashy combination punches. Floyd would truly have to be at his best to beat Amir Khan, and I think the young Amir Khan, coming into his peak years now, has the potential to test those areas that I mentioned for me were slight doubts with Floyd. You know, the way Amir uses those fast flurries and constantly in-out combinations of 5-6 shots, that's going to test whether Floyd's low volume approach really is enough. With Amir's speed, with Amir's amateur background and pedigree, with his footwork, with his foot speed, with his hand speed, we're going to test whether Floyd's movement is still enough in 2015 to put him as pound for pound number one. And these are questions that a fighter like Amir Khan can ask, that a fighter like Saul Alvarez, Danny Garcia won't ask. Yes, those guys might hit harder than Amir Khan. Yes, those guys may even beat Amir Khan. But this isn't about Amir Khan versus Alvarez or Amir Khan versus Garcia. Styles make fights. And whilst those guys may do well against Amir Khan may do better than them against Floyd Mayweather. Let's face it, Amir Khan hasn't got an elite chin. But these days, Floyd is far from a knockout puncher. Yeah, if you look at some of the shots he landed on Marcus Maidana, they were perfect. Yeah, at no stage did he look like dropping Maidana. Yeah, it may be that Khan's chin is so bad that Floyd can get the job done against him. But I think realistically these days, Floyd fights to win fights on points. And I think Amir Khan at 147 has the potential, at least we should discuss the possibility, that he may be more punch resistant than he was at 140. Especially when we consider he weighed in for his fight at 160 on the fight night last time against Devin Alexander. So clearly he was very drained indeed getting down to light welter. We should at least allow for the possibility he may have more punch resistance at 147. And with Floyd's lack of one-punch knockout power, it's a fight that on the balance of probabilities would go to points. So for me it creates an interesting matchup. We know Khan brings the volume, we know he brings the footwork, the hand speed. We know Floyd doesn't bring power, doesn't bring volume, maybe doesn't bring the elite level speed and movement he used to. You'd certainly say Amir would have the edge in terms of footwork, foot speed. You'd certainly say Amir would have the edge in terms of volume, and you'd certainly say Amir would have the edge in terms of hand speed. So how does Floyd beat Amir Khan? Well, as I said, the obvious way of beating Amir Khan is knocking him out. The other way, as we saw with Lamont Peterson, is trying to drag him into a war, trying to brawl with him on the inside, break him down, wrestle with him. But that's not Floyd's style either. Arguably, if, I don't know, Amir fought Marcus Maidana, I know that happened first time round, but arguably if they rematched at 147, Maidana could apply similar-ish tactics to how Lamont Peterson beat Khan. But I don't think those are applicable to Mayweather. And I also don't think Mayweather has the power to end it early on Khan. So I think Mayweather has to go out and look to win the fight on points. With Khan's speedy starts, with the combinations, with the foot speed, with the hand speed, it's really, really hard for me to see an ageing Mayweather winning 7 of the 12 rounds. I really find that difficult to see. Amir is so quick, it's hard to see Mayweather's counter-punching style being as effective as it would be against someone who I'd consider to be quite a one-paced, one-dimensional fighter like Marcus Maidana. Floyd is not going to be able to counter-punch Khan like he is against Marcus Maidana. I also think Khan has higher accuracy. It would be more difficult for Mayweather to evade his shots due to the extra speed and accuracy Khan has compared to someone like Marcus Maidana. I think Khan Mayweather is a real interesting stylistic matchup because to my eye, Khan has only ever been knocked spark out by power punches or sort of out wrestled and out hustled by Lamont Peterson. Nobody has ever beaten Khan using a sort of back foot slick defensive boxing style. The closest thing Khan's had to that was Devin Alexander, and he destroyed him. Now obviously Mayweather's a different animal to Devin Alexander. He's a league above him. But what I'll say is nobody has beat Khan using typical Mayweather tactics. Now nobody's beat Mayweather full stop. But for me, the weaknesses Mayweather potentially has could be exploited by Khan, a young opponent who brings volume and who brings speed. I think there's potential for Manny Pacquiao of a few years ago to have similar chances of upsetting Floyd. But I think these days, Pacquiao is not getting any younger. He is another guy who hasn't knocked anyone out in a long, long time. And to my eye, whilst Floyd can age like a fine wine because of his style, Pacquiao isn't going to improve with age because he's an explosive fighter who relies on speed. I don't think I think realistically the way Pacquiao fights, he's only going to get worse. Whereas the way Floyd fights, like Bernard Hopkins, when you rely on that quality, you don't rely on power, you rely on your defence, you rely on picking low volume quality shots. I think like Bernard Hopkins, you can carry on till later. So I think while Pacquiao-Floyd may have been an interesting matchup 3 or 4 years ago, I now think Floyd wins that fight comfortably. And I think Amir Khan poses more of a threat than Pacquiao because of the speed, the volume and the youth Khan brings. Now as I say, this is very much styles make fights sort of thing. So I'm not saying that Khan beats Pacquiao or that Khan beats Danny Garcia or that Khan beats Canelo. I'm saying that he's got more of a chance of beating Mayweather than these guys. And for me, this is the matchup that I am most interested in seeing. I'm not claiming this as I'm the first person to say this. I watched an interview the other day with Nigel Benn, who was saying he thinks Khan wins. I watched an interview with Johnny Nelson, who said he thinks Amir Khan wins. And I honestly think if this fight happened, Amir Khan gets the job done. Let's put it this way. I really don't think Mayweather can knock a genuine welterweight out these days. I just don't think that's his style. Don't think that's what he aims for. So if we allow for the possibility that this goes to points, it is, for me, very hard to see Mayweather winning 7 rounds against the Amir Khan who fought Devin Alexander the other day. I know Floyd Mayweather is Floyd Mayweather, and I know he doesn't lose, but he's getting older. He's low volume. He doesn't have the same legs, the same movement he used to have. He'd be against a very, very quick, athletic, young fighter in Amir Khan. And I think the way Amir Khan starts, with his furious combinations, with his hand speed, and with his feet taking him in and out, like lightning, it's going to be so hard for Floyd to counterpunch Khan. And even if Floyd does counterpunch Khan and catches him every so often, Khan can be open defensively. I don't think Floyd's got the power to take Khan out. And I'm not sure if he's got the volume to win the rounds. Now, against Marcus Maidana, he didn't need huge volume, because Maidana was wildly inaccurate. It was quite one-dimensional. But the way Khan attacks, how dynamic he is, how quick he is, I think Floyd would need to bring more volume to the table. And as he gets older, that's not going to get easier to do. So I think Khan probably does represent the most realistic threat to Mayweather, on the basis that Khan's style will be most difficult for Mayweather. It doesn't mean I think Amir Khan would be pound for pound number 1 if he got the job done, because I think Khan is still beatable. But I think with Floyd Mayweather, Khan's best performance was against Devin Alexander, and I think against that kind of low volume defensive style, he really, really can thrive. Now, I do appreciate Floyd is on a different planet to the likes of Adrian Broner and to the likes of Devin Alexander. But we've seen Floyd fight Cotto. We've seen him fight Canelo. Do we really need to see him fight someone like Danny Garcia, who's got limited movement? Do we really need to see him fight Erislandy Lara or Austin Trout? These back foot defensive guys, with Floyd has got that style mastered down to a T. What I want to see him in with is somebody who offers something different and who can test Floyd in new ways. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.